that we possibly can.
Well, throughout the coronavirus crisis, there have been complaints that the care home sector hasn't received the vital equipment it needs in terms of gowns, gloves and masks. Some care workers who treat people in their own homes feel they've been let down even more so. They say in many cases they've worked to breaking point, are poorly paid and not acknowledged for what they do. Well, joining me now is Dr. Jane Townson, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the UK Homecare Association, which represents 2,000 home care companies. Dr. Townson, what proportion of home care workers actually treat people in their own homes?
Well, there are about 650,000 home care workers across the UK, and it's about the same number as the number who work in care homes. So the workforce is split almost 50-50.
So that's something that a lot of people don't realise. And how do people who go in and visit people in their own homes, how do they feel they've been treated in this crisis?
I think they feel forgotten. We've been at the end of the queue for pretty much everything, for funding, for PPE, for testing, for guidance, for clinical support, for volunteering, for charitable donations, you name it. We're kind of an afterthought, it seems.
I don't know if you heard the Foreign Secretary speaking there just before you, Dominic Raab, and he acknowledged that there'd been a distribution issue in terms of protective clothing. Is that how it's felt to your members?
Well, the problem that we experienced from the outset was that our home care providers tend to have regular orders of personal protective equipment from their business as usual suppliers. And quite early on in March, we learnt that the regular supplies of PPE to home care were being redirected to NHS supplies. So our normal route of acquiring PPE had been cut off. So we complained about that and were told that we could use the government system, so we could use NHS supplies. But when home care providers went to them, they said, sorry, we're only supplying NHS providers. Go and talk to the National Supply Disruption Response. So they went there and they said, really sorry, we can't help you because you're not NHS. You'll have to go back to your business as usual suppliers. And of course, they didn't have any kit because it had all gone into NHS supply. So they were going round and round what we've come to call the loop of doom. And the loop of doom doesn't seem to have been broken yet. So Dominic Raab talked about the Clipper platform. That's probably 4 weeks away from being up and running. And then initially 4 and now 7 wholesale suppliers were designated for social care. But for example, one of our members wrote to me on Tuesday saying that they'd contacted all 7 of them and they had no supplies to give them. So that's left home care providers having to try and purchase their own PPE on the open market. And due to sort of global supply challenges, it's like the Wild West and everybody is trying to get PPE. Allegedly, there are sort of spotters at airports looking for consignments that look like they might be PPE and, redirecting them. Okay. Price gouging is going on. There's a lot of fraud. So it's very, very challenging.
Have things improved at all in this period of time?
Well, not really. And part of the reason is that normally in home care, you don't need to wear face masks, only people who are looking after complex clients. And now everybody needs face masks for almost every visit. And there basically aren't enough face masks available. So that's a real problem for us. And some providers are even, considering filing notices to the regulator of an inability to continue to provide home care because they can't get the PPE kit that they need.
OK, a very difficult situation, clearly. Dr. Jane Townson, thank you so much for talking to us on BBC News. Thank you very much.